Hello! Today we'll be learning how to maximize our time before instruction. Before instruction deals with the time that occurs during the transition and arrival time. This could be at the beginning of the day, the period, or small group activity. There are a number of activities that can be used to turn waiting time at arrival into learning time. Today we will discuss 4. 1. Writing directions on the board routinely. 2. Engaging students in sponge activities. 3. Asking questions to get everyone thinking. And 4. Spinning off students at the end of direct instruction. Stay tuned. How do you use time before instruction to achieve more learning? Well, the first thing you do is make sure you have a routine of writing the directions on the board. Students need to make sure that they always know what they need to do, what they need to have, and what they need to do when they get there. Emergent readers can be taught to follow directions from using picture clues. And receiving directions in this routine manner engages students to get their brain in gear as soon as they arrive, instead of waiting for learning time to begin. Sponge activities fill up any time that would otherwise be lost while doing administrative tasks. Sponge activities have 2 components. Component number 1 is that sponge activities must be able to accommodate late arrivals and early departures. Students should be able to catch on quickly, as well as not be penalized if they have to leave early. The next component of a sponge activity is that sponge activities should review content that has already been taught. We should never, ever use sponge activities to teach something new. The verbal or written responses in sponge activities give the teacher an immediate assessment of what the students know and understand and what needs to be retaught. An example of the sponge activity would be ready to identify the author of this line and discuss its meaning in the text. Or, be ready to give the correct form of the verb in the following sentences. Before instruction, teachers can also ask questions that gets everyone thinking. Teachers can do this while they're taking roll or even passing out papers. They can ask a simple question of the group and have everyone think of an answer. They'll give the students time to think about it, and then eventually they'll call on one student who they know will answer it correctly. Once that student answers, other students can then check their answers without public disclosure of error. Teachers can continue to ask questions during class time to get students engaged in thinking while they are completing their administrative tasks. A question you could ask the group would be, take the number 5, double it, subtract 3, subtract 2, divide by 3. What do you have? Now, before leaving one lesson and going to the next activity, to save time, you can spin off students at the end of direct instruction. Well, what I mean by that is, when dismissing students to the next activity to gather their materials, you want to avoid disruptions and traffic jams. So, for example, you could say, while Table 1 gets its materials, let's review the essentials in our science experiment. While students are going to get their materials, the other students are focused and engaged. Remember, sponge activities increase students' memory and learning of the content. Also, how you design your sponge activity could allow it to serve as your anticipatory set. Get creative. Remember, creativity is just intelligence having a little fun.